Welcome to Ready, Set, Real Estate, where we will help empower and educate you on many different aspects of real estate, finance, and investing. Each week, we will expand your knowledge and uncover hidden truths. We will break down real-world scenarios and study actual how-to strategies. Anyone can buy real estate, but together we'll ensure you make smart real estate investment decisions. Now, here's your host, award-winning author, international speaker, and real estate educator, Lisa Gillett.
Happy Wednesday. I have to move over because I'm streaming on Instagram today. How are you, beautiful souls, wherever you are on this still phenomenal planet? Let me just fix my camera. That's what happens when you're messing with the stuff over the weekend. All right, cool. We are live today. It's that time. I missed you last week. I had a couple appointments and I just could not make up the show time. I trust you'll forgive me. It's all good. It's all well, right? Okay, hold on. Let me turn off my notifications on the phone. Otherwise, we'll be interrupted. Let's see. We've got a good show topic happening. So I wanted to continue this segment type series that we have going for our buyers, those who are looking to purchase, in the middle of purchase. I've heard some really cool things. I recall being in a transaction. I was representing the seller, and the buyer, when he came to tour the property with his agent, he saw my merch. He saw the swag, Ready, Set, Real Estate, and he looked it up. And so when he came back, he actually ended up getting under contract. And then he came back for his inspections and he said, hey, he was like, I kind of checked you out on YouTube. I checked out your show. He's like, I'm definitely going to subscribe so I can learn more about this process that I'm beginning. So I think it's very cool that you all get to really either get a crash course while you're in the middle of a real estate transaction or experience, or for those of you who are a little bit more planned and prepared, want to actually just listen, tune in, and get the information you need. So I think that's really cool. Let me do this too real quick. We are, for those of you who are on IG, I'm going to go ahead and drop the, boom, the show name, Best Tips to Reducing Your Closing Costs. As I said, we are going to continue this series that I had going. I just kind of made up this segment of the show as a series because we started talking about down payment assistance. I think we first started talking about deposits, down payment assistance, and it led me into talking about closing costs a little bit. And I said, you know what? Those are show topics in of itself. And I think it's best that we break it up. So last week or weekend before last, we talked about down payment assistance and what that looks like. So you can either get a true grant or you can get something that's layered and it's a loan, it's a silent loan. Go and check out episode 269 where we talked about that. If you are looking to purchase, to really get an understanding to see if down payment assistance is the best option for your situation. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. If you want to speak specifically regarding your situation, then give your girl a holler. Give me a call. My phone and text, it's a textable number. It's my direct cell, my work cell. It's 323-488-3265. It's right here on the screen for those of you who are tuning in. 323-488-3265. Okay. Before we jump into show topics, like I said, we are on, I'm going to say that. We are on, nope, not disclaimers. We are doing best tips to reducing your closing costs. All right. So we're caught up. Shout out to those of you who are also tuning in from the Nextdoor app. Thanks for connecting. I really appreciate when my neighbors get to chime in. It's really cool. Those of you who are streaming on LinkedIn, woo, hey there. And on the Meta pages, great. And like I said, we are on IG Live, on my LA Super Agent IG Live. I'll go ahead and repost or reshare, reschedule the replay on our Ready Set Real Estate Instagram page. And of course, if you don't catch us on the live and you're subscribed to the podcast, right, whether that's Apple, Spotify, we're everywhere, which is great. Uh, I'm glad you are finding a way to connect with us. So I really thank you for that. For those of you who have been rocking with me now 9 years. Oh my gosh, 9 years. We should do something special. I always want to do something special. I always celebrate. I celebrate milestones. I celebrate cleaning out my drawers. My husband and I, he finally managed to get me to go through the drawers and take out the clothes that no longer fit, make room for the new, which is great. Thanks, honey. Really appreciate you. And I feel better. He's like, see, don't you feel good? I do. I feel fantastic. I feel really great. Let's see. I want to switch topics here. Nope, that's not what I want. Boom. Real estate goals. This is a real estate show, so we talk about real estate goals. You certainly have come to the right place if you are here for real estate literacy, which is what we do here in the form of edutainment. I get to crack up and kind of have fun here with you all, and I don't have to be so serious like how I am sometimes in work when I get into work mode. Yeah, I'm serious because I'm getting the job done. We're getting it done. Here I get to let my hair loose and let it down and play and just have fun. So this is where I get to relax a little bit, all while having a good time and talking about real estate stuff. Woohoo! Quarterly goals. We like to do it in quarterly goals, real estate goals. I have probably beaten this horse till it's kaput. No horses are harmed in the making of today's episode. What I am saying and sharing is that I have shared with you to manage your credit scores, because credit scores is the way the lender, if you are financing, only if you're financing, credit doesn't matter if you're doing all cash. No one cares about your credit if you are doing cash and if you're doing hard money too, because that means you're bringing your own money and a good percentage of your own money to the table. Now, if you're bringing less than 20%, now we've got to factor in credit scores. And that's where this quarterly goal, if it's part of your goal to focus on credit improvement, then you should already know where to go for your free credit report. Where is that, folks? For those of you who've been tuning in and following along, annualcreditreport.com. Annualcreditreport.com. Someone dropped that in the comments. Annualcreditreport.com. This is the only officially approved website is creditreport.com. I wish when I do my fonts, hold on. Yeah. I wish when I do it, I don't have to constantly reset the size and stuff. You guys got that? Annualcreditreport.com, not free credit report. That's not what I said. Annualcreditreport.com. And you register. You can have some issues and hiccups like myself. Like if you change your address, this system will not recognize it, kick you out, and then you have to do it by mail. But it's good. At least you know that they don't have the current information. And that's what's key here, is to have current information. It also gives you the opportunity, and I've done this before, way back when, during the housing crises and things were a little rough and that whole thing. It does give you an opportunity to explain any, blemishes, right? If you were past due on something, if something went to collections, if you had a repossession, it allows you to lay the story out, provide the explanation. What happened? I lost my job. I became ill. I had to I became a caregiver for a parent, a loved one. I was on maternity leave, whatever the reasons. Because when the creditor runs your credit, guess what? They get that story attached to your credit profile. They get that piece of information, which I think is great because it allows them to see, hey, you had a situation. You had a situation, and this is why XYZ happened. Right? We like that. That's why we call too when we are pitching FHA loans to clients who carry a lot of debt, who don't quite qualify for the ratios for conventional loans, which is typically the better product. Is you can do an FHA insured loan, which is a story loan, and it allows you to explain why your debt is so high, what's going on, right? It allows you to say why you didn't make those payments on time, what happened. That's why. So it's always good. Do know credit is forgiving. And I borrowed that statement from my husband when we first started dating, and we were talking about credit. Right. 2 months in, we're talking about credit scores. Yes, see, this is why we're married, right? I think it was like 2 months in, we were talking about credit scores, and he's like, credit is the most forgiving thing. And I was like, really? I've not really thought about it like that. And then when I realized it is because it's a snapshot of a time in your life. It's only a financial snapshot today. If you run your credit today, you look at your credit report today, it's about what's happening in this moment, where your credit limits are, right? How much you're spending and how much how much credit is available. That's what it's showing at the snapshot. You want to, if you are going to borrow, the best time to do that, because lenders will run the credit, is you want to at least do it when you're at 30% on your credit lines. Credit cards are not at 50, 60, 90, dang near maxed out. If your credit is maxed out, do not go run your credit. Don't do that unless you just are doing it for financial planning purposes and you want the lender and you want myself to help you along and coach you what you need to do. But don't expect that you're going to get a raving, yes, we're happy that you have been pre-approved and here's the interest rate. If you were maxed on credit card debt, that's going to not work out well for you. Okay. So let's be strategic. That's why when I have my meetings with my clients, their strategy meets, their seller strategy meets, their buyer strategy meets. Why? Because it's all about strategy. It's all about being strategic in making the next move your best move. That's the goal here. Annualcreditreport.com. Now, if you are focused on savings, then I like the idea of 10%. Learn to live off of 90% of your income, stack the 10%, put away the 10%, save the 10% out of everything you earn. Now, if you want to be a little bit more aggressive because you have some real goals to meet, maybe the timeline, 6 months, 10 months, 12 months, then maybe carve down what you can live on. If you can do 80%, live on 80%, save 20% of what you're earning. Now you're cooking. Now you're cooking here. So those are some ways. And here's the best way to do it. Put it on autopilot. There are tons of little tools in your banking programs, and your banks do offer ways for you to create a savings account. And you can even set goals. You can literally say, hey, I'm working to save towards X goal, right? What is that goal? I'm working to pay down my debt. I'm working to save for down payment on my first purchase of income property. I'm working for down payment towards a car, or to buy a car full in cash. There's ways to do that. Use those tools available to you. Okay, use those tools. That's a good place to start off when we talk about real estate goals here. Is annualcreditreport.com for monitoring the credit scores and the credit reports. It's an important thing to do this. I've had a lot of folks come to me say, Lisa, I'm so glad you told me to check, because guess what? They had my student loan information incorrect. Guess what? I found out somebody was using my identity, and they took out an apartment in my name, and there's all kinds of issues going along with that. You need to check so that we're not necessarily waiting to find out what's on your credit report when the lender runs it, and then we've got some issues that we have to deal with. It's best for you to do it, see what's on there, and then let the lender, when you are ready, to move forward to the next stage of the home purchase experience, is to then have the lender run the credit. They'll give you the credit report and tell you what you need to do. And lenders are really great. At least our lender partners really literally will walk through your report with you and say, you need to pay this down. Let's get this down to at least this percentage or this loan balance, or hey, just go ahead and let's pay this off. Because a lot of folks have small credit cards and small little debts. Like you guys have credit lines of $200 here, a Macy's card or a JCPenney card of $300 here. Like you've got all these little cards of 300 here, 400 there, 500 here, loan balance from a phone, cell phone balance from 10 years ago. Those things linger on. And I actually shouldn't necessarily say if it's 10 years ago, because I don't want you to go pay old debt and then you refresh it, because actually some of that stuff is supposed to fall off after 7 years anyways. So let's just be careful. If it's longer than 7 years, consult a professional as to being strategic and whether it's within the statute of limitations in terms of whether you still owe it or not. Okay, whole nother conversation. Okay. All right. How are you feeling about that? Is this good stuff? Is this a good pick me up for a Wednesday, is to keep credit on top of mind if you're looking to purchase and use a loan? Again, it only matters if you're borrowing money, but if you've got your own, which is why I ask my clients, I don't ever assume. I ask, are you purchasing cash or are you financing? Cash or financing? I find it really curious when someone says to me they're purchasing cash and then I find out they're doing a hard money loan. Listen, folks, I'm going to do a whole show segment on that. Why? Because it's not the same. It's not the same. Cash and hard money is not the same. Stop it. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. Okay. It bugs me. This is why the purchase contracts are very clear now. It says cash. There's a box for cash. And then there's a box for other, right? Pre-approval, underwritten approval, to be determined. Like there's different categories. Other, private loan, hard money, that kind of thing. Cash has its own checkbox on the contract. Why? Is because cash is liquid. That means if we get paperwork all done within a matter of 7 days, we typically could close that in about 10 days. 10 days is, for me, has probably been the most quickest on a cash deal that we've been able to do, because we've got to get paperwork returned from both sides. And then there's time to get the title clear, title set up, clear the file, set it up for recording, and that all that stuff. And here in California, as opposed to other states and other parts of the country that handles recording differently, for us, it, depending on the county, can be a 24 to 48 hour process between funding, right, getting all the money wired in, and then recording, which is recording the deed transfer document from seller to buyer. That takes 24 to 48 hours, depending on the jurisdiction that you are in, right? Okay, how you feeling? I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling great, actually. Feeling really, really great. This is what I'll do. So I'm going to pivot. We've got some good stuff here to talk about today. Like I said, we are on episode 270. Best tips today on reducing your closing costs. What the heck are closing costs anyway? You mean there's more? There's more to this home purchasing stuff, to this real estate stuff, and that doesn't just include my down payment? Yes. There's more to it than just down payment. Could you imagine? There is more to it. You only thought that it was just down payment? No. We'll be right back after this sponsor break. Today's episode is sponsored by no other best brokerage in California, Devenio Estates. We'll be right back after this sponsor break, you guys. You guys got me cracking up today. I'm just feeling really good and I'm really giddy today. It's okay though. It's Wednesday. It's all right. I'm allowed to feel this way. We'll be right back.
We know how challenging it can be to try and sell a home while also dealing with other financial and legal matters. We are here to help. Devenio Estates is the real estate firm you need to make sure your unique situation is handled as quickly and efficiently as possible. Our team of professionals has a combined experience of over 30 years in real estate, construction, and finance industries. As active professionals in the industry, we know the importance of timelines and pride ourselves in providing superior service without compromising integrity. We use industry software and copyrighted proposals so that our real estate agents submit accurate and complete listing information and buyer offers. Our goal is to exceed your expectations and set Devenio Estates as the go-to real estate firm for excellence in advocacy and superior services for our clients. Contact us today to learn more about our services.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Ooh. Let's see here. All right, we're going to do classroom style today. I love doing classroom style. So I've got a whole slide. I'm going to share some screenshots of an actual buyer closing statement. We'll go through together an estimated buyer closing costs that I prepared. How many years ago? 14 years ago. I looked at it. It's 2012. I just ran through my files and had one. I had a couple. So that was back in the day when I used to do them myself. So I was very involved. I wanted to learn, all the intricacies of the deal. So there were no surprises. And if you've ever met with me or worked with me, I like to lead with education. Go figure, right? No guesses here. I like to lead with education. It's the best way to go. And that way you have the information to make an informed decision. Not my decision, it's your decision. And I like to make sure you have the tools to make an informed decision, folks. Okay, good. And let's get ready to jump into it. If you're on your phone, if you're on Instagram does its own thing now. So now you don't have to turn your phone sideways. But you can always catch the replay if you want to copy the slides or the screenshots. You can email me, send me an email or text me. Email is lisa@lasuperagent.com, or you can text me at 323-488-3265 and just drop a message and say, episode 270 closing costs, and I'll get that over to you so you can have it. It's all good. I can share. Sharing is caring. Let me change my screen now. Boom, boom. There we go. I like it. Boom. Buyer side. So the buyer side costs. Yes, guess what? Each side has their own costs to this transaction. They each have their own costs. Buyer has their side and seller has their side, and either side can contribute to reducing the cost of either party. That's pretty much the tip. The best tip here in reducing costs is getting someone else to pay it for you, right? Heck yeah, that's the best way to do it. Get someone else to pay your cost for you. Can you tell I'm having fun with all these little background effects? Let me know if it's bugging you. No, you guys are good with it? Okay. That's a bit much, okay? That's so cute. I like that. Oh, that's so cute. Those are so cool. Let's go over them together before I bring up the screen. What kinds of things show up on the closing costs? So in addition to your down payment, and in this segment, I'm going to do it in two ways. That's what we'll do. So I'll split it and I'll show you buyer side, which are the costs. And then we'll then look at the entire transactional costs, which will break down the costs as debits and credits, right? What's been debited against the buyer and what's been credited towards the buyer. Again, each side has their own. Today we are talking about the buyer side. Next week, I think is a good time to talk about the seller side, and we'll just continue the closing cost conversation so both sides can see it. And here's why this is even more of an important conversation, is because buyers, if you're in California, this may be a new thing, not so much a new thing out of state or out of the country. You now have been tasked and responsible with paying the buyer's agent commission based on what you negotiate with your buyer's agent. That's a whole nother conversation. You will see it on the sheet. And I have one today that shows what that looks like. I'm excited. Okay, here's the list. Escrow fee, title insurance, loan origination fee, loan processing fee, document preparation fee, underwriting fee, appraisal fee, credit report fee, recording fee, home warranty, flood certification, messenger fee, e-docs fee, seller paid closing costs. That's just a snippet. Oh, just a snippet of what shows up on the buyer statement. Just a snippet. So I'm going to do a screen share for us here. Boop, 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 boop. Screen share. Let's see, share screen, window, boom, boom. Okay. I like it. You like it? I like it a lot. This might be a little bit difficult for some folks to view because I'm in the black and white, but I'm going to make it bigger here so we can see it. All right, boom. So you saw August 23rd, 2012, way back when. You imagine, look, I was quoting interest rates at 3.75 back then on a 30-year loan. This is a FHA 203B loan product. This means the buyer would have been approved with an FHA loan. And again, this is when I used to draft them, and we'll just go through this together. So back when then, and truth be told, it's interesting. This probably was based on the same area of a property, same location or zip code of a property for what I'm going to show you of a buyer net sheet in today's time, what the rates and everything looks like. So sale price $349, just under $350,000 for a house. Woo, the good old days. Long gone now. Good luck. And that was 2012. Base loan here says $336,785. Adjusted loan $342,678. And then down payment, right? The borrower's down payment $12,250 right here is what we see. And then we have the itemization of the closing costs. Let me do it this way because I want to focus here. Don't want us to get confused. Okay. Boom. Yeah, you see the laundry list here. So not including your down payment. We've already talked about that. You also should be thinking about and saving for your closing costs. That's to close the deal. You don't just go to Best Buy. I mean, no one probably is walking into Best Buy and buying a flat screen TV and you saw it on sale for $299 and you're like, yep, I'm bringing $299 and handing over $299 to the cashier. Do you think they're going to let you walk out with the item? No, you've got taxes and all kind of other little extra fees, and they want to upsell you with the insurance and an extended warranty, and that 299 now becomes what? 415. So you're bringing a little extra to the table so you can close on your purchase. Same logic. Same logic with real estate transactions. You've got the closing costs that involves the escrow settlement fee. In this scenario, 1,055. Title insurance, 521. You've got any discounts if you are trying to buy down the rate, you would pay for that. Origination fee. This is the loan origination, what it costs. It's usually about a point, right? So notice it's 3,367. The loan here is the base loan is 336,785. So that's why we see that in here, the loan origination fee is 3,367.85. That's 1% of the point of the loan. That's expected. I've seen higher, and depending on who you go with, the lender can charge you more to do the loan. There's also additional fees associated with the loan, which is a processing fee at $450. There's a tax certificate contract in here. I didn't include one. There's document preparation, $400. There's an underwriting fee of $450. There's, at that time, appraisals were $500. They're now $800. Today's time. Credit reports. Look at that. Credit reports used to be $35. I believe they're now $80. Recording fees were $150. They're now $250 to $350. Home warranty, $350. Even then, home warranty was $350. Wow, 2012. Home warranties are now like $670, $690. Let's say $700. Flood certificates, $25. Not anymore. FedEx, outside courier, $50. No, it's not what it's costing anymore. An endorsement, $150. That's title stuff, title and escrow stuff, $150. Notary outside signing service to get a notary to you to sign your loan docs, $175. The e-docs for escrow to electronically send the documents to the notary, they're charging you $50 for that. That's why I say if my clients are local, just go down to escrow so that if anything's missing and you kind of save in that instance and you get to look at the documents and, you know, they could prepare anything and they do the notary there. It's kind of best if you can. If not, it's okay because sometimes it's not realistic. Like we just did a deal. We're Northern California versus Southern California, escrow companies in a different location. So sometimes you will deal with the notary and they'll overnight documents. It's just the cost of doing business. It's fine. Now, here we go. Boom. Look at this. I like this. There's a minus. Notice everything else is being added up. And here I put in here an estimate that we could get the seller to pay $10,470 towards the buyer's closing costs. So what happens here? That now means essentially all my buyer's closing costs is covered, so much so that there's a surplus of $2,741.15. I like this. I've always liked this. Right? That's why I say to folks, which side do you want me on? Which side do you want me on? Because I could, pretty much help save you money or I'm making you money. Which side? And in this example here is we have asked for seller credit towards closing costs, which is a nice thing, nice situation, depending on the market or submarket. We are in that time, by the way. You are in that time. We're in that market. Sellers are apt, more likely to help pay for some of your closing costs. These are best tips here. You don't get what you don't ask for. If you don't ask for it, they are not going to know that you need it, especially if you only came with down payment and you have not budgeted another $12,000, $20,000 or more, depending on the price point, to pay for closing costs. So it's important. Yes, yes, yes. Time has changed. Time has changed. You now are on the hook for more than just down payment. No, don't get upset at me now. This was not my doing. This was as a result of the NAR settlements and sellers saying, you know what, dang it, I'm tired of having to carry the share of both sides and have to pay for buyer agents' fees. Some of that closing costs now buyers have to carry as if they were retaining an attorney or an accountant or another professional. We'll have to do the same when hiring a real estate agent. Do you have to hire one? No. Do I recommend that you not hire one? No, I don't recommend that unless you're an expert and you do this all the time, because there's a lot goes into it. A lot goes into it. And even when you do it, even when it's smooth and you've got everything in order, there's still a lot that goes into it. And you want to make sure you've got a set of eyes and someone that's got your back in a transaction. That's important, is that you've got someone looking out for your best interests and pointing out the things that you might not know or be thinking about as it relates to purchasing. So that's important. So write this down. Based on all these costs here, right? So just based on this rough number here. At this price point, $349 on an FHA loan, especially FHA loans, today we're looking at 6%. Today. Back then, we could do 2%. Now today it's about 6%. Conventional loans, same thing. You're looking at another 3% in costs to factor in. And that's kind of a safe bet. So all in, it's your down payment. If you are using a 3% down payment program, a 3.5% down payment program, a 5% down payment program, or if you're choosing to put 10% down, 15% down, 20% down, you also should be factoring in another percent towards your own closing costs. Your closing costs. That's for you to close a deal. Okay, let's jump over here. What I like when borrowers, so when you work with your lender, they will give you a borrower cash to close sheet. And it gives you this breakdown of what your principal and interest looks like, real estate taxes, homeowners insurance, the monthly MIP. So with an FHA loan, it's called the mortgage insurance premium. As you can see here, back then, 2012, at this price point, it was the equivalent of a car note. It is higher today based on price point and based on the rate of the MIP. It has increased. So all in, everything included, for those of you who are looking at rentership versus ownership. So in this example here, the total payment, that's the PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, and including that monthly mortgage insurance premium, because you are putting less than 20% down. That is attached to the FHA insured loans because it's a risk premium for the benefit of the lender, not you. It's not for the benefit of you. It's for the benefit of the lender in the event of you defaulting on that loan. Why? Why, you ask, is because essentially you are putting less than 20% down, and the lender is more at risk if you lose your job, decide to stop paying mortgage because you only brought less than, you brought 3% to the table. Let's do it in the form of $100, right? $100. I talked about this when we talked about down payments and down payment assistance. So you need $100 to buy this item. You don't have $100, but you do have $3, and you decide you're going to borrow $97. Who's more at risk of losing out if, when you get this item, you don't pay them back? Right. The lender, because they're in it for $97. You only brought $3 to the table. That's the same logic when we talk about it in the form of percentages when you are borrowing to purchase a property. You borrow 97%, And in fact, you likely are borrowing more than 97% because some of those closing costs are wrapped into the cost of the loan. And that's why you see that there is a L to TV loan to value at some time of the 103%, 106% is because you're borrowing more than you have available. That's essentially what we're looking at. So in this example, and I'm going to bring the screen out so you can kind of see it, right? So it says A plus B plus C equals the total cash investment of $15,562. So where's A? A is here. This is A. Down payment. C is your closing costs, right? So A plus your down payment plus your closing costs. And prepaid items. We didn't talk about prepaid items. Let me do that. Whoops. Talk about those prepaid items because that's where it adds up. You go, geez. Well, Lisa, all those other fees you talked about doesn't add up to the thousands of dollars you're talking about. Yeah, that's because depending on the lender's requirements, there's such a thing called prepaids and impounds. And some lenders will require either 9 months of taxes, 15 months of insurance. They'll calculate 30 days interest. And you see the FHA mortgage insurance premium at that time it was 0.73. It's now, I think, 1.81 or 1.55, 1.75, something like that. Don't quote me. I'm not a lender. Totally forgot to give you a disclaimer, but I will disclaim now that I just said that. Boom. Hold on. Time out, folks. Boo-boo. Here we go. The information provided on this show should not be considered legal or tax advice. Please seek legal tax advice from reputable licensed professionals. I'll say it again for the people in the back. The information provided on this show should not be considered legal or tax advice. Please seek legal and tax advice from those reputable licensed professionals. All right. For those of you who are new to me, by the way, hi, Lisa Gillett, also known as Super Agent, broker, owner of Devenio Estates, boutique firm, serving all of California, pricing strategy advisor, short sales and foreclosure certified, and my favorite, senior real estate specialist. I also hold a JD Juris Doctor as well. I finished law school last year, and we are pending finding out whether I passed the bar. So I will share that news with you as soon as I have it. And all that means is I stay educated so I can share this information, and I have a level of expertise that you can count on, all while having fun on the show. Okay. Let's bring it back to the stage. Here we go. Prepaids and impounds. That's all that disclaimer is just so you're like, well, you said, no. I'm giving you examples. This is an example. So this is C, A plus B plus C. See down here? So C here in this example, $6,000 in prepaid items. This means all the upfront taxes, insurance, and interest, and other items that the lender is charging you up front adds up. In this scenario, it's $6,000. Payment breakdown. So all together, you essentially would need to have to close a $349,000 purchase of a property, $15,562, and that's because I am negotiating and I'm representing here that you would get a seller credit. See it right here in the corner. You'd get a seller credit right here of $10,470. That's pretty much how you'd be reducing your closing costs, is basically get other people to pay it for you. That's pretty much how that would work. Okay, let's bring us back to the side to closing costs. You see how these items, and it's not limited to just these items. There are other items that show up on your closing costs that are not just here, okay? Not just here. Let me toggle screens. Boom, we're back onto the next one. Let's take a look at the final closing statement before we wrap up today's show. Thanks for your attention and giving me your time. I know some of you are scrolling while on your lunch breaks. I really appreciate you. Really, really, really do for giving you my time. Do know that the final closing statement, that's where the math is mathing. right? Or you sometimes will get the estimates and say, the math is not mathing. It's not adding up. I don't get it, Lisa. I don't get it. It's okay. It truly is adding up, and it is adding up for your benefit. It means that if you are getting all these credits, because we can negotiate repair credits, and the seller may then say, hey, I'm not going to fix something, but I'm willing to give you some money towards your closing costs. Guess what? That now reduces those costs, your overall costs, which is fantastic, right? So on the final closing cost statement, let's bring that sheet up. Boop, 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 doo, 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 doo. Let's bring that up. Boom. Here's a scenario. In this scenario, we're going to go with $866,000. We're going to go to purchase price of $866,000. Very cool here that, hey, don't sweat about the small things. Typically, we like to open escrow with a deposit. Let me use my hand here because I'm just dragging the screen all over the place. So typically, we'd like to see you open escrow, and that would be your deposit. So your down payment also includes your deposit. Deposit, we like to see anywhere from $1,500 to higher, depending on the price point. Can I open escrow with $1,500? The answer is absolutely. Why? Because we've done it, and this is the proof. See it right here. My client opened escrow with $1,500. It is possible. Just get with the team. Get with the team that understands your situation, that can help rework it and work it out for you. The very cool thing is that oftentimes you all are using pension accounts, right? You're using pension accounts. And what that means is you have money sitting in an account, your retirement account. Did you know, by the way, hello, did you know that you could withdraw money out of your 401k, your 403b for the purchase of your property? You can even do it. For home improvement. Guess what? But I'm going to stick to the script. We're talking about to purchase. So yes, you can withdraw money from your 401k, 403bs penalty free, meaning you will not be charged a penalty for early withdrawal, because it's what? It's supposed to be for your retirement. Does that help? How many people didn't know that? Do you like this? I do. Yes, I agree. I think this is fantastic. This is great news. With that being said, that means it's going to take you about 2 weeks to access that money. What will they require? Guess what? We'll talk about that more in detail on another episode. But for purposes of this example, my client was able to do an increased deposit. Notice here, first deposit $1,500. A couple weeks later, when she gets the money from her retirement account, right? She was able to increase the deposit. So we put that as part of the contract that she would do an increased deposit. And here it is. She put an increased deposit of $15,820, right? First trust deed, what does that mean? That means this is the loan she got from this bank. She got a loan of $840,000 on a purchase of $866,000. This is another thing about purchasing and investing in real estate is you're leveraging what? Other people's money, OPM. That's how this works. Where else will you be able to leverage it to buy an investment of $900,000 with only bringing 3% to the table? 3%. 3% of that is like, at this price point, less than $27,000. Less than $27,000. But even more, watch this, right? How do we get to reduce those closing costs? I'm going to jump ahead and I'm going to show you something right here. Boom. What do you see right here? I'd love it if I can highlight this. My highlight's not working, but it's okay. Look at this. Let's see if I can do it this way. Oh, you don't want to cooperate with me. Okay. See this segment right here? Yeah. Not happening. Anyway, you see it. I see it. What does that say? Line item, lender credit. How much? $20,000. What? Yes. This client received a lender credit. That means down payment assistance. Or what? They will give you down payment assistance or closing cost assistance. This bank is giving $20,000 towards your closing costs. She already had the down payment. She's like, I'm good on down payment, but guess what? I need help on those closing costs. They're like, great, we got you. $20,000. And there you see the minus $20,000 against all these costs. Here are the costs, loan origination. Here's the charges totaling $7,488. She's got $20,000 to go towards that. Look at that. Look how that works. And then proration adjustments, commission charges. Here's our company, Devenio Estates. There's a charge to the buyer, $5,255. But guess what? We credit that. We credit that to her. See right here? We credit that $5,255 to her because we got the seller to pay our commission, at least part of it. And then we gave a credit, and this essentially acted as a deduction for us and for her. Very good. Other debits. You see how these charges continue to add up? Boom, boom, boom. Title, escrow. So all in all, funds required to close on this purchase is $18,395. Didn't have to be a monstrous fee, right? Because what's happening here is, boom, $20,000 lender credit. Ta-da! Don't we like it? We like this. Clap it up. I didn't hear you. Clap it up. Yeah. You're out here saving folks money, reducing their closing costs, all right? And voila, that's what it looks like. Essentially debits and credits. And when folks say, well, I thought I was going to get money. The seller said that they were going to give me $1,000. Yeah, you're not walking away with $1,000 because guess what? You have all these other fees. Look at this. You've got all these other fees that are adding up. So that $1,000 that the seller is crediting you is going to show up on the debits on the credit side against the debit. The math is mathing. That's all you need to know. And it's all there. Why? Because it's federally required. It's required to be there because it all has to be accounted for. You keep that final closing cost statement. You keep that with to show your tax preparer. And some of those costs are deductible. Guess what? Another win. So some of the costs that you are spending during your home purchase or during your real estate transaction are deductible. You know what? I need you guys to cut that out. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Okay, well, I've gone past my time. So thanks for your completely undivided attention. You've been amazing. If you need to email me or contact me, again, Lisa@lasuperagent.com. Lisa@lasuperagent.com. Lisa is spelled the conventional way, Lisa @LA, that's right, superagent.com. You can call and text, drop me a text at 323-488-3265. Listen, you all have been fantastic today. I trust you will have a powerful and productive week. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, on your favorite podcast channel. Take care, guys. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Ready, Set Real Estate Podcast with Lisa Gillett, the LA Super Agent. Please like, subscribe, and share LA Super Agent everywhere on your favorite podcast platform.